What's going on, guys? My name's Ben. This is Adam. He's our head engineer over at Spike.
Hey guys.
We're gonna be talking about some spunding valves, pressure relief valves that are on the market, and we're gonna be talking about the new Spike All-In-One PRV as well. Stay tuned.
So you might ask yourself, why is Spike making this PRV? And the reason for that is we listen to our customers. Our customers are looking to pressure ferment or spund. They're also looking to make sure that the fermenters are being used safely. And this is our solution to that. We've looked at everything on the market, lots of different features and different price points and different products, but we wanted to combine all of those in one. But first and foremost, put safety first.
Ultimately, fermenting under pressure, using any pressure, can be dangerous if not done correctly. And I think we've asked ourselves multiple times around here, like, what's your safety worth? We've seen that you have your $50 items, you have things that are close to 200. This falls in the middle, and in our opinion is the safest option out there. And we'll go into detail on why. But again, it's when you're using something like this that in our opinion we deem it unsafe for the spunding and pressure fermenting, anything like that. Just ask yourself, like, what is your safety worth? Is it worth $50?
Not to me.
Not to me either. So we're gonna walk through all these different valves and give you as much of an unbiased opinion on pros and cons of each, and ultimately hope that you guys see why we think the Spike All-In-One PRV is the best, and you guys can vote with your money and see which one you think's best for your brewery setup. All right, so let's talk about the first two. These are kind of our cheapo options. This Bowtie, I think, is what it's commonly referred to as. Let's go through the pros. It's cheap. That's good. I think under $50, both of these. It does have a gauge built in, which is nice. It's a little small, but it's there, 15 PSI. It is adjustable, so you could use that as an adjustment. It's light. Anything else I'm missing?
I think you might have covered it all.
All right, so cons. I think the biggest one is the safety.
Yeah.
The outlet for here, it connects to a ball lock gas post. It's like 1/8 of an inch. There's just not a lot of force pushing up on that to unstick that. If krausen or hops or anything gets up in there, if something blocks this, you've essentially sealed off your fermenter, and it's producing CO2 and can obviously be unsafe. So that's the main reason why we don't feel like this is a safe spunding or pressure fermenting safety device.
Yeah. And the housing here, as you can see, this is all built with plastic, pretty thin walls. Definitely prone to cracking if you drop it. Can kind of deform, and over time we just know plastic doesn't hold up. That's why all brewing equipment is stainless steel these days if you want it to last forever. And honestly, I don't know if I would trust this to hold back 15 pounds in my fermenter.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, cleaning too. I mean, I don't know, it doesn't look like you can really take this apart very easily. I don't know if I'd, if you want to soak it, I don't know if you can soak the plastic, but yeah, I mean, that's the Bowtie.
Yeah.
Looking at this one, it's kind of
like hardware store parts.
Yeah, I mean, you have some brass
together,
parts, you have some stainless, you have a T. It does have a gauge. The gauge is pretty big, easy to read. It looks like it is adjustable as well. It looks like it's stainless. Again, it's cheap. That's probably the biggest selling point. But conversely, it still has the gas post connection. It's small. It can get clogged. We don't recommend it for pressure fermenting or spunding. It's just that's not what it was intended for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this whole tube here could fill up with krausen if you're not careful, and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
Next, we've got a tri-clamp fitting, so mounts to conical fermenters really well. It's got a nice stainless steel casting. It's got a gauge on it. It's a little bit smaller. The nice thing about this one is it does have that gauge and gas post on it.
Can easily add some gas to pressure transfer or whatever.
It's adjustable as well, so it's got a nice rubber handle, and you can kind of come in and set your pressure.
Hook it up to a blow-off. It's got a nice barb fitting. You can put it into some sanitizer.
Yep. In terms of looking at how it's designed, you can see the port's a little bit bigger, but still really not that big, especially when you get and kind of get into these cross ports where they kind of intersect and things it's kind of a choke point. And, again, this really comes down to how large are these passageways, because when you pressure ferment, it's going to get in there.
Krausen or hops or whatever can get up in there. Yeah. I mean, I see even on here it says not a pressure safety device. So, I think a lot of people are using these as, spunding valves or for pressure fermenting. And, again, candidly, it's just the port's so small. It can just get clogged, and it just takes one time for it to have a crazy fermentation. Krausen gets up in there, and it more or less seals and glues that shut. And the surface of the plunger is just not enough to open it up. So, I mean, I like the tri-clamp.
Yep.
That's nice.
Definitely makes it easy to use,
but
easy to install.
I wish the bottom hole was bigger.
Yep, absolutely.
Next up, this is what we've been actually recommending for the last couple years, what to use. Yep. These are kind of industry standard, pressure relief valves. They have the larger port.
Yep.
Absolutely. So that's a big pro. We would deem these safe. This one is adjustable, so you can, change your pressure. It does have the sanitizer cup, so you fill this up with your Star San. You can see the bubbles. It works as an airlock.
Yep.
The one thing that would be nice, any markings or a gauge, you're kind of just flying by the seat of your pants on what the pressure's set at. You're gonna need to have an elbow or something with a gauge to really read what your pressure in your tank is. So you need new hardware right off the bat.
Right, and that can really ramp the price up. And this is a good example, right? That's a little over $100. This one's almost $200. And really the main difference there is this has some scale some etching, so it kind of gives you in range, but really not precisely. You still have to have a gauge on your fermenter somewhere to kind of really double check and tell yourself exactly where you're at. You can't just go off of these lines. The other thing that this adds, to get up to that higher price point, which is a great feature, which is a quick release. The only issue really is execution. You look at this thing, it's basically a quick release to be able to fight the spring pressure. And I know I'm stronger than you, Ben, but even I can't really increase that. Well, I don't know.
That's pretty well.
You're fighting a heavy spring there, and imagine doing that when this is on a fully loaded fermenter that's
3 feet up in the air, 4 feet up in the air.
It's really tall. You don't have a lot of leverage. It's got 400 some pounds of liquid in it. And you're trying to leverage against that thing, and those things are top heavy. We all know how that can be, and we just don't want you to be struggling to quick release it when it's not quick, it's not easy, and it's not safe.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean it's good that the ports are big and safe, but obviously lacking some of the features of even the cheaper ones. They don't have an integrated gauge, so getting better, but there's some to be desired.
Exactly.
Okay, Adam, we've talked about the 5 different spunding valves that are on the market. We've talked about the pros. We talked about the cons. They have all the different features that you would want between the 5, but there's not one that has everything. I guess I just dream of a world where there was a group of engineers that sat all day and thought about cool homebrewing devices that could be created.
Ben, you lucky son of a bitch. We got that for you.
All joking aside, this is a safety device. We've talked about some of these are less safe than others, and we've been touting ours as being safe.
Yep.
Give us the engineering speak on what makes this safe compared to some of the other ones out there.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? All of these work the same way. It's a pressure relief valve. It's got a spring in it, but the key here for safety is the size of the opening. We all know that Krausen can get in there. It can stick it up. We're more than 25 times bigger than these small ones. We're 7 times bigger than this one. We're more than 3 times bigger than these other full part ones. And honestly, for us, we wanted to maximize that open area to maximize safety and guarantee that could not be an issue to stick closed. When we started this, one of the big things, we've talked about a lot of different features, and really our goal here was not only to build a safe device, which we've talked about, but to bring all of the features into one part. That's why we call it the All-In-One PRV, because it does everything for you, exactly. So we started with a real large piece of stainless steel a lot bigger than any of the others we've talked about because we wanted to make sure, number one, there was room for all your accessories. You can see here we've got 2 threaded ports, one meant for the pressure gauge, one meant for the gas post.
Okay, so to, I guess, touch on that for anyone that doesn't know why you'd want a gauge or a gas post, the gauge obviously tells you, the pressure that's in your vessel. It's kind of a redundant feature as well because you can, see the bubbles coming out, see that there's pressure, but then you can also dial it in specifically for what you want. The gas post is nice for adding CO2. So obviously your tank's making CO2, but at the end of fermentation, maybe you want to cold crash and add 5 PSI or, pressure, transfer into a keg.
Yep.
This is a way to add pressure to your tank very easily. They use this 1/4-inch NPT, threaded posts, so it's, pretty standard.
Yep.
I know it's got the sanitizer cup. I guess, walk us through what that's there for and why you developed it.
So this was one of the feedback items when we had some of our earlier prototypes tested by product reviewers that have Spike equipment. That was one of the most resounding feedback items was we want to see what's going on with our fermentation. You're used to kind of watching it in a blow-off tube, in a bucket of sanitizer. This is basically doing the same thing. It's serving as your airlock. So you can fill this up with Star San liquid and set your pressure, and you can see the bubbles coming out as it kind of relieves itself past that pressure point.
The bubbles are coming out like of this, the holes right in here.
Yep.
So it'll be bubbling through the Star San, and it pretty much works as an airlock, so air can't get back in.
Yep.
I know it's got the drain.
Yep.
That was, I know, kind of a late addition, but one of those obvious ones of like, okay, well, if there's liquid in here and I need to relieve it, I don't want to get like a Star San bath.
And that came from our own usage, and every single time we did any kind of quick release with pressure, we just got a shower of liquid, and it's just something we wanted to minimize and avoid, and this was kind of a no-brainer, and you can just pull this cover off, put a cup under it, connect a hose to it, whatever you need to do, and you can get most of that liquid out, and then you can use that quick release real easily.
So let's talk about that. So it's pretty much none of the other PRVs that we talked about had a true quick release. I mean, we showed the one that was hard to pull. As strong as I am, even that was a little bit difficult to pull. This one I can literally push down with my pinky and relieve that. What's the reasoning? What's the advantage of being able to relieve pressure that quickly?
Yeah, so it keeps going back to the reminder that your fermentation vessel is a pressure vessel. It's building up pressure, and anytime that you are switching steps, changing fittings, anytime you even come close to touching your band clamp on the cover, you want to make sure that you absolutely have zero pressure in that vessel. And honestly, it's not even good enough to believe what your pressure gauge is telling you. You have to know that there is no pressure, because we all know that from time to time these can get stuck or fail or whatever that might be, and you don't want to.
It's a redundancy.
Yep.
You can look at your gauge and see it's zero, and you can press this down, and if you see zero and you hear no pressure come out, your tank is safe.
It takes half a second just to make sure, and this all comes down to making it easy. If it's not easy, people aren't going to do it, or they're not going to think about it.
Yeah.
And if it's quick and easy, you see the gauge, okay, you press this down, okay, now I'm good, I can change things on my fitting, on my fermenter, I can
disassemble it, whatever.
Right.
So
exactly.
I think like the biggest thing is that this is adjustable.
Yep.
So you can turn this knob pretty easily. You turn it clockwise, that's going to increase your pressure. You go the other way, it's going to decrease.
Yep.
So it's adjustable from 0 to 15 PSI.
Yep.
I know that you guys put a lot of time in engineering that when this is bottomed out, it's at 15 PSI. It can't go any higher, so it's going to work with our tanks, which are rated to 15 PSI,
exactly.
which seems to be pretty common amongst other competitors as well. So you can use this not only on the Spike tank, but on other competitors and still stay safe.
Yep, and this can serve as your pressure safety device. A lot of the other valves that we've talked about, they all say you can't use this without another piece. And
because their ports are too small.
Their ports are too small, and a lot of fermenters out there really only have one port. So now you got to build out this crazy contraption to be able to hold 5 different fitting orientations and setups just to be safe.
Yeah. And it looks pretty damn cool. And it looks way more slick than having the T fittings and Ys and 15 ports, all in one port. So no, I think you guys did an awesome job. It turned out great. Obviously, we're slightly biased. We try to be as objective as possible when looking at all the other spunding valves that are on the market. If you guys have any additional questions, we have a whole support team that's happy to answer anything via phone, email, or chat. Also check out the website. We got a ton more information, more videos that we'll come out with now and in the future. Bunch more specifications, everything you could ever want to know. Adam, I appreciate you walking through everything. I'm going to send you back to the engineering cave. You got some more products to come out with before the year ends. I know they're excited. We're excited. Have a good one.